What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we're in the brand new 2025 Kia Sportage, courtesy of Fred Bean's Kia in Mechanicsburg, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. And so today we are in this one because this is Kia's #1 seller. So I think of Kia, I think of the Telluride because I think that is an awesome SUV, but believe it or not, this is the #1 seller for Kia. So I guess that makes sense. It's kind of in that segment like the Honda CR-V and the Toyota RAV4. It's just the perfect size, I guess. But the difference is with the Sportage, you get America's best warranty. So you get 5 years, 60,000 mile bumper to bumper, 10 years, 100,000 miles on the powertrain, which is absolutely insane. And I could already tell you, these are possibly the most comfortable seats I have ever sat in my life. These are ridiculous. I don't remember Kia having this nice of seats in my past reviews of the Sportage. So anyways, ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2025 Sportage. You got the LX starting at $27,390, which is a very modest $200 bump from the 2024 model year. You usually don't see them with only $200 more than the last year. It's been a lot more than that lately. EX for $29,490, X-Line all-wheel drive for $32,290, SX for $32,990, SX Prestige for $34,990, X Pro all-wheel drive, which is the one we are in today, starting at $36,490, and the X Pro Prestige all-wheel drive for $38,290. And so with any of the trim levels where I did not say all-wheel drive, that means front-wheel drive comes standard. However, you still can get all-wheel drive in those other trim levels if you wanted it. Simply add $1,800 then to any of those prices. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Sportage is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated inline 4-cylinder. I love that. Putting out 187 horsepower at 6,100 RPM, 178 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 4,000 RPM. That power being sent to the front wheels or all wheels through an 8-speed automatic, with MPG numbers coming in at 25 in the city, 33 on the highway for the front wheel drive, 23 city, 26 then on the highway for the all-wheel drive, and then 23 in the city, 30 on the highway for the X Pro all-wheel drive, believe it or not, taking regular unleaded fuel. But so that before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Sportage, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. There's a circular dial located directly behind the shifter. Drive modes are going to include normal, sport, smart, and snow, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity, and the gauge cluster quite substantially, and it looks dang good. We'll get more into the gauges a little bit later in the video, but now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and enjoy these comfortable seats a little bit more, and let's test out the acceleration of our new 2025 Kia Sportage. All right, here's our straightaway in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, really weird, really weird. All right, two things here. First off, the initial get up and go, like for driving around city streets in that sport driving mode especially, brilliant. This thing is not turbocharged. You are gonna have that. There's no turbo lag or anything like that. So the initial punch is really good. Having said that, it's not the quickest thing in the world, but the really weird part is I feel like the engine sound was being pumped into the cabin artificially, and I don't remember reading anything about that, but it definitely sounded like it. So let me know in the comments if that's a thing, because it 100% sounded like the engine sound was being artificially pumped into the cabin, which it's kind of cool. I don't mind it, but it's definitely interesting. It's not something you see that often, but anyways, love the initial get up and go there, and gauges look really cool in sport driving mode as well. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front, you will find 12.6-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 11.8-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, that comes in at 116 feet. As far as braking feel goes, it's perfectly fine. Definitely a little bit on the firmer side of things, not a soft braking feel whatsoever. And a lot of times you will find that in SUVs, so I like that actually. The braking feel feels perfect for this thing. And typically 116 feet, that's a pretty solid number right there. A lot of SUVs will come in the mid 120s, so very good braking feel, very good braking power in the Kia Sportage. So you gotta like that. But then touching on suspension and handling, up front, you're gonna get an independent strut type front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension. As far as ride quality goes in our short little test drive here today, it's been perfectly fine. I haven't had any issues whatsoever with the ride quality. Definitely something I could easily take on a long road trip if I stop losing my voice to Ocean City, Maryland or something like that. So I don't have any issues with that. As far as the steering feel goes, it is going to differ substantially depending upon the drive mode that you put it in. So I just put it back in that sport driving mode, and I can easily tell it's a much heavier feel to the steering, instantly pointing you in the direction that you want to go, which is going to be good for back roads like we're on right now. However, if you take it out of that sport driving mode, it does loosen up quite substantially. So it's not a bad thing. It's more of a traditional SUV kind of steering feel when you take it out of the sport driving mode. So it's something for everybody, which is what you want if you want to sell more vehicles, quite honestly. So I don't have an issue with that. Then touching on cabin noise, besides that artificial noise when you really hit the gas, which I love, it's been a pretty serene cabin. So again, I don't have any complaints from there. I'm actually really digging this thing so far. And touching on rear visibility, I can see 100% perfectly fine out the back. So because of the shape of the Sportage, you definitely shouldn't have any issues there either. So that pretty much grounds out the performance segment. At this point, I'm saying Honda CR-V who? Because this thing is freaking nice, man. But anyways, let's now go ahead and find a spot in this cool park we're coming up on here, and let's take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2025 Kia Sportage. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2025 Kia Sportage, finished in ebony black, which looks absolutely amazing on the Sportage without a doubt. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where this one is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 5, indicating that the Sportage is built and assembled in the US here, specifically Georgia actually, which I believe is where their manufacturing facility is located, which is pretty stinking cool. But anyways, let's go ahead and start up front on this one. Gloss black front grille does come standard. You actually get front skid plates coming standard on the Sportage as well. To the sides, LED headlights with LED daytime running lights do come standard. And what I got on right now is actually the LED daytime running lights. It's a very unique design, unlike anything else on the road. So I think it looks pretty darn good. The headlights are there to the sides, just on the outside of them. You get the automatic feature with the headlights. You get automatic high beams as well. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. And when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. Got front air curtains to the bottom corners there, and there's actually LED fog lights down below as well. So I'll do a little B-roll, you guys can see that. But overall, very unique looking front end, unlike anything else. So for that reason, I'm a big fan. But that pretty much rounds out the front end. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of the Sportage, let's go ahead and start all the way up top. Roof rails are going to come on the X-line trim level and up. You do have a little bit of a floating roof line towards the back, but when you have an all black exterior, it's kind of hard to tell, of course. Rear privacy glass, though, does come standard for all trim levels. Got silver belt line molding for the LX and EX trim levels. Otherwise, it's going to be finished in gloss black, like you guys are looking at right now. For the X-line and the X Pro, you actually get a raised suspension as well. Those are kind of the somewhat off-road trim levels, I guess you could say. Ground clearance is going to come in at 8.3 inches. I probably should have mentioned that up front, but anyways, 8.3 inches is the number there. When it comes to the side mirrors, they're going to be finished either in body colored or gloss black, depending upon the trim level that you go with, basically. They will be heated with LED integrated turn signals then for the EX trim level and up. Then take a look down at the wheel setup. The wheel setup is going to differ substantially dependent upon the trim level that you go with. So you're going to get 17-inch alloys for the LX, 18-inch machine finished alloys for the EX, 19-inch gloss black alloys for the X-line, 18-inch gray alloys for the SX trim levels, and then 17-inch alloys with BF Goodrich all-terrain tires for the X Pro trim levels, and they definitely look good. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Sportage, all the way to the top, you got a gloss black shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. If you're looking for the rear window wiper, it is not affixed to the rear glass, believe it or not. However, it is still there. It's just tucked away underneath, up under that rear spoiler there. So that is pretty cool, and I believe that's done so it does not impede your rear visibility. So I like that. But LED taillights do come standard for all trim levels across the board. You gotta love that. And then just below it all, there is a single exhaust outlet. It is tucked away underneath on the passenger side there. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Sportage, when it comes to opening that rear lift gate, there is going to be a button on the key fob. There's a rubberized button on the lift gate itself as well. And if you were to go with the X-Line trim level and up, it's actually a power lift gate. Otherwise, it is a manual lift gate, of course. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 39.6 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, there are some levers in the cargo area, which made folding down those rear seats super easy. And that bumps that up to 74.1 cubic feet of total cargo space. So right on par for the course there. You got LED cargo lighting that comes standard in the back. I absolutely love that, and that's rare to see. You usually get the halogen bulbs back there. 12-volt power outlet was back there as well. You got plenty of tie-down anchors. There is a cargo cover back there. There's a couple grocery bag hooks. Honestly, I think they're for like a cargo net back there, but you can use them as grocery bag hooks. And then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you'll find a spare tire, a little bit of in-floor storage surrounding it, but I love seeing the spare tire back there. That's always what I personally prefer. But then making our way to the rear legroom, 41.3 inches. Anything over 40 inches is luxury, so you gotta love that. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the back there. Rear center armrest with cup holders does come standard. Rear ventilation does come standard, so you got the necessities there. USB charging ports are going to come on the EX trim level and up, and if you're wondering where they're located, they're actually on the back side of the front seats, which makes sense. And then there's a little cable holder so that they don't get in the way of people running in and out of the back seats. So brilliant design there by Kia. I absolutely love that. I saw that on the Telluride for the first time. But now let's go ahead and make our way up to the front seats. Manually adjustable cloth seats for the LX, 10-way power driver seat with power lumbar for the EX trim level and up. You get heated front seats for the EX trim level and up, Syntex upholstery for the X-Line, SX, and X Pro trim levels, 8-way power adjustable passenger seat for the Prestige trim levels, and then ventilated front seats for the X Pro Prestige trim level only. But overall, as far as seat comfort goes, like I said at the beginning of the video, these are some of the most comfortable seats that I've experienced in quite a long time. I believe only Lexus F Sport is better than this, and this is pretty darn close to that. I don't know what Kia did here, but these seats are ridiculous, like stupid comfortable. Absolutely. And not to share my medical history at all, but I got a dozen tumors in my back and missing vertebrae, and these things are absolutely brilliant on my back. So well done, Kia. I appreciate you. But then making our way to the steering wheel, it is tilt and telescoping. It is going to be leather wrapped for the EX trim level and up. It's also heated for the EX trim level and up. I didn't have any issues with the steering wheel there. Then make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. You got your Kia logo on the bottom. That hold button, that is a remote start. That also comes standard. That's pretty cool. All of your buttons are on the side of the key though. You got lock, unlock, and the button to pop the rear lift gate there, of course. But it is all keyless entry with the push button start. So all I'm going to do here is put my foot on these alloy foot pedals here and press the engine start button located just in front of the shifter. And so gauges are done beautifully as well. It is a 12.2-inch digital gauge cluster for every single trim level across the board. You gotta love that. And like I said previously, when you change the drive mode, it adjusts the look of the gauges as well. And it does this cool little kind of animation when you change the drive mode, but really it's just between the sport and all the other modes. But still, sport driving mode is a bunch of silver and red hues, and then when you change it back, it's a bunch of like blackish gray and purple hues, but it looks absolutely amazing. amazing. And of course, there are some steering wheel mounted controls. You could change what is displayed up there. There's a digital speedometer, how many miles you have left until you hit empty. You got your outside temperature. There's a compass. There's tire pressure for each individual tire. You gotta love that. And the list goes on, speed limit of any given road. So definitely looks absolutely amazing up there. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality, because it's still dang good. Panoramic sunroof for the EX trim level and up. And yes, that goes all the way into that second row there. LED interior lighting for the EX trim level and up. I like that as well. And all you got to do is touch the light itself to turn it on and off. There's no button there. I gotta love that. Dual zone climate control for the EX trim level and up. Wireless phone charger for the EX trim level and up. It seems like the EX is kind of the sweet spot for this thing, but alloy foot pedals for the X Pro. That's what you guys are looking at right there. You gotta appreciate that. Wireless phone charger, by the way, is located just in front of the shifter. You got USB charging ports up there, a 12-volt power outlet as well. Everything surrounding the shifter is going to be finished in a gloss black, which I always prefer. I've had gloss black in my vehicles before. They've never scratched. You just take care of your car. That's all you got to do. Your heated seat buttons are up there. Heated steering wheel button just to the right of the shifter as well. Got a ton of space behind that for your cup holders and just space in general. And then within the center armrest, there's a pretty decent amount of space in there, so I don't have any issues with that. Kind of have this cool looking wood trim just underneath the infotainment screen, just above the passenger side glove box here as well. It's kind of texturized. I liked that. And everything has a very nice design to it. Even the door handles themselves, they're a very unique design, unlike any other door handles you've ever experienced. So it's just cool, the attention to detail that Kia puts into their vehicles. Also, gloss black finishes on the doors here as well, around the power window buttons. You have this cool little ledge kind of thing just beside that design. I don't know what to call it, but it's unlike anything else as well. So a lot of very unique touches with the Sportage here. I am such a fan so far, but now let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen, because this is a massive screen. But first, let me say 8-inch color touchscreen display for the LX, but all the other trim levels get a 12.3-inch color touchscreen display. Everything is finished in this cyan, vibrant purple color. I love that. You get Bluetooth and audio streaming, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, factory navigation system for the SX trim level and up. There's a cool quiet mode up here, which essentially eliminates the rear speakers so the rear kids can sleep, and then limits the front speakers so you don't wake them up. There's a voice memo system that can record your voice and then play it back at a later date. You can adjust your climate control settings up there as well. I think the only thing I'm missing is some ambient lighting up here. I would have loved to have seen ambient lighting controls and ambient lighting available, and maybe just the top trim level of the Sportage. I think that would be stinking cool. But anyways, you can adjust your radio information up there as well. So when it comes to the sound systems, there are 2 of them. You get 6 speakers for the LX, EX, and X line, and then an 8-speaker Harman Kardon sound system with 400 watts for the SX trim level and up. And of course, that's the one that we have with us here today. So let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing this morning, and let's test out the clarity of this one. All right. Super ton of bass there, plenty of clarity there, and I like the little touches on the speakers as well, the little branding, I guess you could say, but that looks very high quality as well. And the other thing is, it was super smooth when I was changing the radio stations. It was buttery smooth, like there was no kind of glitchiness or delay like you find in a lot of the competition, quite honestly. Like, this is the smoothest, one of the smoothest infotainment screens that I've come across in a while. So yeah, Kia, you're crushing it with the tech here. But anyways, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen is when you do put the Sportage in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board, letting you know who or what is behind you, which is always going to lead us into safety. And so let me start by saying the Sportage is an IIHS top safety pick. So heck of a start right there. You get front side curtain airbags. In the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard forward collision warning, lane following assist, lane keep assist, lane departure warning, a driver attention monitoring system, and actually rear parking sensors come standard. That's ridiculous. You never see that. And then the EX trim level and up is going to add to that a blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert. So when it comes to my final thoughts here of the Sportage, very unique design. Let me start by saying that specifically on the front end, like the front lighting is absolutely unlike anything else that you'll see on the road. I love that. The other thing is ridiculously comfortable seats. Like in my top 2 seats easily. Out of the 1,000 plus cars that I've reviewed at this point, this is probably my second favorite seat comfort that exists out there right now. So if you value seat comfort, you got to take a look at the Sportage. Also, of course, you get America's best warranty, and if you drive less than 10,000 miles per year, that means this thing is warranted on the powertrain for 10 years. You like that math that I did right there? Anyways, it's a ton of peace of mind there. Plenty of space, 74 cubic feet. That's plenty for this segment. I love the kind of wood trim look that you got up here. I don't know if it's real wood trim or not, but it's texturized and it feels nice and it looks good. The only thing I would add to this would be ambient lighting on maybe the top trim level or something like that. Other than that, this thing is perfect. Kia, you crushed it. That's about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media somewhere on the screen there. If you wanted to see what's coming next on the channel before it gets to YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe and bell notification button. If you're into new car reviews, that is what we've been doing for 11 years now or so. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay old. Oh, these seats are freaking sweet, bro. Tell you that for free. Let's get my sunglasses on because it's so bright out today. You guys will be surprised. I got sensitive eyes. Got sensitive eyes here. I'm gonna take it a little too warm for me. Let's bring it down a little bit.